Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and it is officially the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, a day in which completely transformed not only this country, but the world. Let me repeat that. It transformed not only the United States of America, but the entire global populace, and was the precursor to many of the tyrannical organizations that are now not only targeting people overseas in the war on terror, but we here at home. Whether it be the passage of the Patriot Act, the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, the strengthening of the Five Eyes Alliance, the opening of fusion centers, and of course, the program signature reduction. They are all about one thing: making you the terrorist. And that's why in this broadcast, I thought it was going to be important to show you how people who not only allowed 9/11 to happen or were involved in 9/11, but those that covered it up and bragged about it were empowered. And perhaps there is no greater example of that than Joe Biden, the puppet in chief. Long before he was the poopy pants president that got installed, he was gangster Joey B, who did his thing and was rewarded by it by becoming the vice president of the United States of America. This is the truth. This is what we are going to be going over today. And if you go to my Twitter page, I don't have it pinned, but it's right there. Right now, in less than 2 hours, we got about 5,000 views showing Joe Biden bragging about Pakistan and him meeting with one of the money men behind 9/11. Now, later on this afternoon or evening, I'm going to be doing a full Fabled Enemies watch-along so you can get further context for the piece we are about to watch right here. But let me lay it down in a nutshell for you. General Mahmoud Ahmed, who was the head of the Pakistani ISI, wired Muhammad Atta $100,000 just before the attacks. Now, again, according to the 9/11 Commission report, the attacks actually cost less than $500,000. So Pakistani intelligence, again, according to them, funded at least 1/5 of these attacks. And nobody seems to want to talk about it. Now, General Mahmoud Ahmed met with a lot of people in the run-up to 9/11 and after 9/11. In fact, he was in D.C. the week of 9/11 and on the morning of 9/11, which you will see later on in Fabled Enemies. And by the way, if you go and watch that video on Twitter, the full link to Fabled Enemies, if you don't want my commentary later, is right there. He sat down with Bob Graham, Senator Bob Graham, and Porter Goss, who would head up the initial congressional investigation into 9/11, and then Porter Goss would be made head of the CIA. Wow. Seems like a big deal. Seems like something that should have been discussed, but never was. So we're going to show you that. We're going to show you how Pakistan actually protected bin Laden the night before the attacks with military personnel at a hospital he was at in Pakistan. And again, nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. We care here. The truth matters. And one of the reasons I decided this to be the focal point of this video is I am hoping that those that have recently awakened or those of more of a right-wing conservative nature see this and make it viral. It needs to go viral. I give away all my work because this is important. It was important then when I put this out, okay, over a decade ago, And it continues to be important now, perhaps more important than ever. So without further ado, I had to cut this down to a little under 2 minutes. I could have done up to 2:20, but I didn't want to confuse people. I wanted to focus on Joe Biden. He's far from the only person that gets talked about. Again, Bob Graham admits to the meeting with the money man and how he was not shy about his relationship with the Taliban in the film. We have Colin Powell discussing the Pakistani aspect of this. All killer, no filler. Let's listen to what Joe Biden has to say right now.
Senator Joe Biden, who had also met with the head of the Pakistani ISI, would have harsh words on the Senate floor.
And the word should go out to those who pretend that they wish to be our friends, that they're going to have to make some very difficult choices. Pakistan in particular is going to have to make a very difficult choice very soon. Words will not be sufficient. Actions will be demanded.
When Biden was confronted, he confirmed his meeting with Ahmed, saying Pakistani intelligence was indeed funding the Taliban.
Sir, one question. In the days following 9/11, you met with the head of Pakistani ISI, General Muhammad Ahmed. It has since come to light that he ordered Saeed Sheikh to wire $100,000 to Muhammad Atta. Why was he allowed to go back to Pakistan, and why wasn't he questioned, and why were you meeting with him?
I met with him to deliver a message that if he didn't stop supporting the Taliban, we would take him out.
Why did we let him go? We let him fly freely. We never investigated him. We never even looked into him.
Look, there's a thing called diplomatic passports. We did not arrest Khrushchev when he came.
But he financed the hijackers, and you let him go, and he's free. He hijacked the hijackers.
No one knew he financed the hijackers.
It's wired.
As they say, get a life.
He would later state that the information was indeed classified.
How did you know the ISI was helping the Taliban, sir? How did you know they're helping them out? Is it classified?
Pakistan was set up as the silent funding arm of the hijackers. They were used as a launching base for the occupation of Afghanistan.
And that's the truth. And props to Luke Radowski for getting that out there and putting him on the spot. Now, before we show you the clip where bin Laden is being protected, let me repeat this, protected by the Pakistani military, I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to play this clip behind me from a video I did back in 2019 when the Dark Overlord 9/11 hacks came about. Haven't been talked about in years. And there were 3 documents in particular that had referenced the Pakistani angle. And again, nobody seems to be talking about, they don't even know about the Dark Overlord documents, okay? But someone had pointed me in the direction of Biden going on television and bragging, let me repeat this, bragging about his meeting with General Mahmoud Ahmed. And Omar Saeed Sheikh, by the way, who was convicted of the Daniel Pearl murder and then had that overturned, is currently in a safe house in the UK. Let me repeat that. He's in a safe house in the UK. So I'm going to dump out of here for a second, and I'm going to let Jason Bermas from several years ago go over this revelation in which, once again, Biden brags about this meeting.
Senator Joseph Biden is the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He's on Capitol Hill. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. As the president and all of his administration seeks to build a coalition preparing for the day when retaliation comes, you had a big meeting last night, I understand, with the head of the Pakistani Secret Service. What can you tell us of that meeting?
Well, it's their counterpart to our CIA, Bryant, and it went incredibly well. Quite frankly, I had long discussions with the State Department and the Secretary of State and with Mr. Armitage, who had met with him already before I met, so I knew what had already transpired. And the bottom line was, I told them what they told them. They've got to choose sides. There is no question. You're either our friend or you're our enemy here. And I am confident that this is at least the second most powerful, if not the most powerful man in Pakistan.
Let's stop that. Think about, unpack what he just said there.
the counterpart to our CIA. I already knew everything because I met with Armitage and everybody else before I met with him. I had all the information. Okay? I openly acknowledge that he is at least the second, if not the first, most powerful man in all of Pakistan. What is going on here? And now we're going to act all tough guy and nonsense. And so I'm going to end this with this clip here of...
And again, we're going to play the clip raw, so we don't have to go back in time and see Jason Bermas on a 2019 video. I encourage all of you out there to look into the Dark Overlord documents, look into the Pakistani connection, and watch Fabled Enemies, because it goes far beyond the Pakistani connection. It gets into the Saudi Arabian connection. It gets into the Israeli connection. It gets into the war games and warnings and the subsequent cover-up. In my opinion, even though I worked on Loose Change and I love the Final Cut and I love the second edition, I think the Final Cut is obviously the best one. I think this is my seminal 9/11 work, because we don't have to discuss physical anomalies. Instead, we just have an array of figures in this, from Joe Biden to Bob Graham to Bo Dietl to, yes, even Barry Jennings and what happened in WTC 7. So once again, please, guys, go over to my Twitter, retweet that, and send it to as many people as you can. But if you want to watch the full film, the link is down below underneath, and we'll allow you to watch it again free of charge. Now, here is Dan Rather explaining how the Pakistani military was protecting bin Laden the night before the attacks. And remember, Pakistan was never named, ever, as a player in the war on terror.
In New York. Good evening. As the United States and its allies in the war on terrorism press the hunt for Osama bin Laden, CBS News has exclusive information tonight about where bin Laden was and what he was doing in the last hours before his followers struck the United States September 11th. This is a result of hard-nosed investigative reporting by a team of CBS News journalists and by one of the best foreign correspondents in the business, CBS's Barry Peterson. Here is Peterson's exclusive report.
Everyone remembers what happened on September 11th. Here's the story of what may have happened the night before. It is a tale as twisted as the hunt for Osama bin Laden. CBS News has been told that the night before the September 11th terrorist attack, Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan. He was getting medical treatment with the support of the very military that days later pledged its backing for the U.S. war on terror in Afghanistan. Pakistan intelligence sources tell CBS News that bin Laden was spirited into this military hospital in Rawalpindi for kidney dialysis treatment. On that night, says this medical worker who wanted her identity protected, they moved out all the regular staff in the urology department and sent in a secret team to replace them. She says it was treatment for a very special person. The special team was obviously up to no good. The military had him surrounded, says this hospital employee who also wanted his identity masked. And I saw the mysterious patient helped out of a car. Since that time, he says, I have seen many pictures of the man. He is the man we know as Osama bin Laden. I also heard two army officers talking to each other. They were saying that Osama bin Laden had to be watched carefully and looked after. Those who know bin Laden say he suffers from numerous ailments, back and stomach problems. Ahmed Rashid, who has written extensively on the Taliban, says the military was often there to help before 9/11.
There were reports that Pakistani intelligence had helped the Taliban buy dialysis machines, and the rumor was that these were wanted for Osama bin Laden.
Doctors at the hospital told CBS News there was nothing special about that night, but they refused our request to see any records. Government officials tonight denied that Osama bin Laden had any medical treatment on that night. But it was Pakistan's President Musharraf who said in public what many suspected, that bin Laden suffers from kidney disease, saying he thinks bin Laden may be near death. His evidence, watching this most recent video showing a pale and haggard bin Laden, his left hand never moving. Bush administration officials admit they don't know if bin Laden is sick or even dead.
Lies. Lies. All lies. Okay? And again, this should have been a huge story. The Biden thing should have been a huge story, and it was never picked up and run with. There was never an investigation into this after the fact. So we are going to keep this one pretty short. Again, Fabled Enemies in full is free of charge. If you scroll down below, there it is. You can watch it on the Rockfin. It's over at Rumble. And yes, it's still somehow here on YouTube. We're going to be doing a full watch along with that documentary later this evening. But what I need you to do is go to what? At Jason Bermas, find this tweet, retweet it, share it with as many people as possible. Anybody talking about 9/11 in your timeline, respond with this video, and let's make this thing go viral. That's how we get into the public consciousness and awareness. Because I will say it again, our entire foreign and domestic policy is still based in the lie that is 9/11. Folks, if you want to support this broadcast, a lot of you know we are fully demonetized here on YouTube for the last 3 years, okay? We've been kicked off the platform 4 times, not just strikes, literally removed, had to fight to get this back. I need your support. There's links down below to buy me a coffee, great way to do it. And of course, you can become a Rockfin premium subscriber. I want to put it out here. I don't have premium content over here. None. Okay, and the reason I don't do the premium content is because I want my message to get out as much as possible. But then you get everybody else's premium content. So for $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year, you help support this broadcast. You get other great broadcasters out there like Slow News Day, The Convo Couch, AM Wake Up, Michael Tracy, Whitney Webb, The Last American Vagabond. In fact, right now in the premium section is my interview with Ryan Christian in his exclusive premium show for Rockfin. So I think that is also very much worth checking out. Guys, this is not and never has been a left or right issue. If you have any question about that, watch my documentary films for free. Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all on the flip side.